In the cold expanse of the Alaron Nebula, a planet named Virith was nothing more than a distant speck, forgotten by the Galactic Council. Once home to the Azeran, a proud and advanced alien species, Virith had been reduced to ruins after centuries of exploitation and war. The last remnants of the Azeran had long fled, leaving the planet to decay under a toxic atmosphere and barren wastelands. At least, that's what everyone believed. But deep within the shattered remains of an Azeran temple, a lone figure clung to life. Her name was Kaelira. She was no more than a child by her species standards, barely 14 cycles old. Her translucent blue skin shimmered faintly under the dim light of the planet's dying sun. Her fragile frame bore the scars of starvation and the relentless storms that swept across Virith. Abandoned by her own kind during the last evacuation, she had survived on instinct, scavenging scraps from the ruins and drinking from contaminated water sources. The Galactic Council had dismissed Virith as a dead world. No aid ships were sent, no rescue missions planned. To them, Kaelira was a statistic, a casualty of war, not worth the resources to save. Even the opportunistic scavengers and pirates avoided the planet, deeming it unprofitable and too hazardous. And then came the humans. The human vessel Odyssey, an exploration ship from Earth, had stumbled upon Virith while charting new trade routes. Captain Elena Vasquez, a seasoned explorer with a reputation for defying council orders, had a habit of investigating planets others deemed worthless. Her crew, a mix of engineers, scientists, and adventurers, shared her curiosity and, more importantly, her sense of humanity. "Captain, I'm picking up faint life signs," said Dr. Julian Carter, the ship's xenobiologist, as he analyzed the data on his console. "They're weak, but definitely Azeran." Alina's dark eyes narrowed as she studied the holographic display. "Azeran? I thought they'd all evacuated decades ago." "Apparently, not all of them," Julian replied. "The signal is coming from this structure here." He highlighted the ruined temple on the map. "Atmospheric conditions are rough, but we can manage a landing nearby." "Council's not going to like this," muttered First Officer Malik, leaning against the wall. "When have we ever cared about that?" Alina shot back with a smirk. "Prep the shuttle. We're going down." The descent was treacherous. Violent storms lashed at the shuttle as it broke through the toxic clouds. Alina, Malik, and Julian, along with two other crew members, navigated their way through the ruins in environment suits, their scanners guiding them toward the faint life signs. The air was thick with ash, and the ground was littered with jagged debris. When they reached the temple, it was in worse condition than they had anticipated. The grand structure was crumbling, its walls covered in cracks and scorch marks. Inside, the air was stale and heavy, but the scanners led them to a small chamber near the center. There, huddled against the cold stone wall, was Kaelira. Julian knelt beside her, his scanner confirming what his eyes already saw. She was alive, but barely. Her breathing was shallow, and her eyes fluttered open weakly at the sound of their approach. She recoiled instinctively, her thin arms raising in a futile attempt to shield herself. "Hey, it's okay," Julian said gently, his voice transmitted through the suit's speakers. "We're here to help." Alina crouched down beside him, her expression softening. "She's terrified," she murmured. "We need to get her out of here. Her vitals are critical," Julian added. "If we don't move now, she won't make it." Carefully, they wrapped Kaelira in a thermal blanket and carried her back to the shuttle. She was too weak to resist, her head resting limply against Julian's chest. As they ascended back to the Odyssey, the crew worked swiftly to stabilize her. The ship's med bay became a flurry of activity, with Julian and the medical team administering fluids, nutrients, and oxygen. Kaelira's recovery was slow but steady. Days passed before she was strong enough to sit up and speak. At first, she communicated in fragmented Azeran, a language the ship's translator struggled to interpret. But over time, with patient teaching from the crew, she began to understand and speak basic galactic standard. "Why?" she asked one day, her voice barely above a whisper. "Why did you save me?" Alina, seated beside her bed, leaned forward. "Because no one deserves to be left behind," she said simply. "Not you. Not anyone." Kaelira's large, luminescent eyes filled with tears. "My people, they forgot me." left me to die. Not everyone sees the value in life the way we do, Elena replied, her tone laced with both pride and sorrow. Humans have a history of fighting for the underdog. It's just who we are. News of the rescue spread quickly among the crew, and soon, Helira became a symbol of hope and resilience. The humans treated her not as a burden, but as a member of their family. They taught her about Earth, shared stories of their struggles and triumphs, and introduced her to the warmth of human camaraderie. Helira, in turn, shared what she could about the Azran. She spoke of her people's history, their art, their technology. She told them about the beauty Virith once held, a beauty now lost to time and war. It was a cultural exchange born not of diplomacy, but of compassion. When the Galactic Council learned of the Odyssey's actions, they were quick to condemn the crew for violating protocol. The resources spent on that mission could have been allocated elsewhere. One council member argued during a hearing. The Azran have made their choices. Humanity's interference is unwarranted. Elena stood before the council, unflinching. That interference saved a life, she said. If that's something the council disapproves of, then maybe it's the council that needs to change. Her words sparked outrage among the bureaucrats, but among the broader galactic populace, they ignited something else, admiration. Footage of Helira's rescue and recovery, leaked by an unknown source, went viral across countless worlds. To many, it was a reminder of the humanity's unique capacity for empathy, even in the cold vastness of space. Months later, as the Odyssey prepared to depart for its next mission, Helira stood on the bridge beside Elena. She had grown stronger, her skin now glowing with vitality. She wore a custom suit designed by the crew, blending Azran elegance with human practicality. "You could stay with us," Elena offered. "Join the crew. Make a new home here." Helira smiled, a gesture she had learned from her human friends. "Thank you, Captain, but I need to find my people. To show them what I've learned. To remind them of who we were and who we can be again." Elena nodded, respect shining in her eyes. "If you ever need us, you know where to find us." As Helira's small ship launched from the Odyssey, the crew watched in silence. She was no longer the frightened girl they had found on Virith. She was a survivor, a beacon of hope for her people, and a testament to what could happen when humanity refused to abandon those in need. And in the vast, uncaring galaxy, humans had once again proven that they were anything but ordinary.